So welcome back to another episode, and today I want to look back on some of my memories with Final Fantasy X, especially that Final Fantasy X has just got re-released again on PlayStation 4. And I just wanted to kind of go back in time to when the game first came out, what my initial thoughts on it were, what I thought about it then, and what I think about it now, all these years later. Now, here's my original copy of Final Fantasy X. And let me tell you, this game was highly anticipated. The reason why, it was the first Final Fantasy game announced for the PlayStation 2. And this was the very first image I ever saw of Tidus with his water sword, in an ocean, with his islands behind him. And I remember me and my friend, we were just out of film school and we were drawing all the time. And we just thought that the design aesthetics for Final Fantasy X looked unbelievable. We didn't know anything about the story. We just saw this one image. And I kept saying to my friend, I'm like, the entire world looks like it's water-based. It looks like something out of Waterworld, but kind of medieval or something like that. And it was really exciting because we were coming off Final Fantasy IX, which I absolutely adored, and all of a sudden, characters now looked very, very realistic, and it was very hard to kind of wrap my head around this brand new art style, but it still was very exciting. And still, back in the time when demos were a huge thing, I got the demo for Final Fantasy X, and I played it a bunch of times, and there was a few things that I loved, there was a few things I didn't love. Some of the voice acting was,
I'd never seen anything like it in my life. Sure, it was a little scary, but still, I could feel a strange kind of gentleness coming from it.
But the graphics were stunning, and I really love the combat system. And let me tell you, the combat system is really fantastic. Turn-based combat in Final Fantasy X. It's wonderful, and you can switch characters out, if somebody dies. I was really loving that kind of stuff. So I'm playing the demo, and it was a weird time for me too, because at that time I was at a software company. I just lost my job. I was really bummed out. I was really kind of depressed, about losing your job. It always sucks. But I had the demo for this, and I remember playing it, and it was giving me a bit of excitement for the possibility of Final Fantasy XI coming out. The online game was coming out. They announced that around the same time. So I was like, wow, the graphics are going to look like this, but online as well. So there's a couple of things going on at that moment. Yeah, I'll never forget how bummed out I was at the time. But I remember getting to the waterfall and just sitting there, and I was a smoker. Back then I was having a cigarette, I was having a beer, and I was listening to the music, and this one piece of music was so wonderful. And I just sat there, and it really kind of calmed me. And it was like, hey, things are going to be cool, man. Things are going to be cool. We got some fucking awesome video games coming out. This is how my mind kind of works. So the day finally came when I got the official game right here. And I got the strategy guide just for all the artwork in there and some of the maps. And I couldn't wait to try that out. And also, I bought the soundtrack. And this is probably one of those knockoff soundtracks I got from my local Chinese mall. But I didn't give a crap. And I gotta tell you, I got the soundtrack just a little bit before the game, so I remember driving into work, listening to the Blitzball song over and over and going, oh my god, I can't wait for this game. Now, those are some initial kind of, ideas of playing the demo, but how did I take the game itself? Being a hardcore Final Fantasy fan, because let me say that so many people have bashed Final Fantasy X, and I agree with a lot of the bashings. I really, really do. My initial thoughts with Final Fantasy X, I finished the game, I played through the whole thing, was, I just mentioned it, the voice acting was whoa.
Hey, let me go!
Tidus laughing, we all know that 1000% over.
You probably shouldn't laugh anymore.
The voice acting was bad. The graphics were fantastic. The combat was fantastic. The storyline was, at that time, it just it was really hard for me to wrap my head around how unusual of a story it is. And I don't want to give any spoilers for the end, but you get transported to a different world. You're a blitzball player. You play this game of blitzball. Your world is destroyed. It's in the past. You're in this brand new world. You're helping this girl, Yuna, collect all these Aeons, summons, to defeat this evil, which is sin. Now, that's all I'm going to say, because there's a lot to all that. And you have some daddy issues with your father. Here's the point that I want to say about Final Fantasy X. The game is a good game. I'll say that. It's just like Belloc, what he said in Indiana Jones. You get a watch right now, and you throw it into the desert. It's worthless. You give it 1,000 years, it becomes priceless. And I'm telling you, nostalgia is a very, very powerful thing. At the time, I had left Final Fantasy X, and I thought it was a good game. I thought there was a lot of things I didn't like about it. I didn't like the world map of it at the time. I hated the Cloister of Trials. I won't even get into that. That drove me completely crazy. There was a few things I didn't like about the game, but given it 15 years nearly to look back on now, I look back on it highly nostalgically. And it has a lot of faults, and it has a few things wrong with it. But when I sit and listen to that damn music now, and I think back to the experiences I had with Final Fantasy X, the bad voice acting, some of the world was all one world. The world map wasn't like it used to be. All that. There was quite a few things wrong with this game. But it is as nostalgic as fuck game. I mean, I look back and I want to play the game again. And that's what I want to say here is that there was a PlayStation 3 version. And there just came out a PlayStation 4 version. Right here. This is the limited edition version with the excellent, excellent artwork on there. But yeah, is Final Fantasy X a flawed game? Yes. Do I look at it with rose-colored nostalgic glasses? Yes. Is there anything wrong with it? No. And it's funny, the more time that goes on, the more time that, from the initial time that I played it till now, the more I seem to enjoy the game in my mind and how it evokes so many more memories of when I was younger and what I thought about it. And I didn't think it was a great Final Fantasy game, but now I feel that it is a fun Final Fantasy game, and it's one that has gotten a little bit better to me over time. And man, what do you guys think of Final Fantasy X? It's a really strange one in the spectrum of all the Final Fantasy games. Obviously 11 came out next, and 12 is another thing to talk about in the future for sure. But what do you guys think of Final Fantasy X? Does it have that same effect for you the more that time has gone on? Are you just playing it for the first time now, or were you a day one adopter like myself, playing Blitzball? Another thing that I didn't quite love as well, but it doesn't matter. It's nostalgic as fuck now. So those are my thoughts on Final Fantasy X. It's really funny that it's all about the nostalgia game for this particular game. It's really interesting. So I'm curious about what you guys have to say about it. So anyways, guys, until next time.